Welcome to the Redefined Podcast. Okay, happy podcast day. Happy podcast day to you. Welcome to the show if you're brand new. And of course, if you are an existing listener and or viewer, welcome back. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, so if you're watching the video version of this, you'll notice that we've changed some things up a little bit. And that's what we're going to get into. I'm going to talk about content strategy and my content process for this show in particular. I'm changing it up. I'm trying some new things to see if the workflow will be smoother and be less constrained. We'll get into that in just a little bit. But first, I do want to let you know, if you are watching the video version of this, you notice that I have a busted lip. No, I did not get into a bar fight. I actually got headbutted by my dog, the very puppy that I was talking about in last week's episode. Yeah, he headbutted me. We were out for a few hours, and of course, you know, when you first come home, the dogs are super excited to see you. And as I was bending down, he was jumping up to say hello, and he cracked me right in the lip, headbutted me right in the lip. And you know, he's not a small boy. He's about 9 months, and he's pushing 65, maybe 70 pounds at this point. So there's a lot of momentum behind that head, and it cracked me right in the lip. And so it's been swollen ever since. It's gone down actually quite a lot in the last day or two, but yeah, it was bad at first when it first happened. Okay, so that out of the way, content strategy. Okay, so the first content thing that I want to talk about today is platforms, social platforms. I'm putting more focus on Threads and BlueSky. I've really pretty much stopped posting on Instagram and on TikTok and on Facebook because it was just a lot. It was just way too much. The production that goes behind making Reels and TikToks is pretty intensive. It's a lot of work. And with as much content as I have in the pipeline and going out at all times, a reel a day, maybe even 2 reels a day, it just gets too much. I was doing it for a while at the beginning of this show when I first started this show, but there was no way that was going to be sustainable without a team, without a production team that was actually helping me do that. So I've shifted my attention away from that and really just focused on Threads and BlueSky, which are primarily text-based platforms. Yeah, you can, post short videos and photos and things like that, but you don't have to if you don't want to. You can build a following and create a lot of engagement just by posting text and sharing your ideas and your thoughts on any particular subject. So I'm really enjoying those two platforms. Yeah, of course, there is the newness of it, and that's part of what attracts me to it. It's something that I've never really focused on. I had an old Twitter account way back, but I didn't really put much effort into building that platform, building my presence on that platform, especially when it turned to X. So doing this now with Threads and on BlueSky, it's been really fun. It's been really a fun journey of discovery these last couple of months. I mean, I've only been on Threads like 3 weeks, so I mean not Threads, BlueSky. For like 3 weeks. So if you want to come find me there, it's a great platform. I'll leave the link in the show notes of this episode. I find that the experience on these platforms is much more curatable, if that's even a word. You can really curate your experience there. And so you get to pick and choose what goes on your feed and therefore what you end up interacting with. And I guess as an extension of that, it almost curates what interacts with you. Right, what engagement you get back in return with your post as well. So it's been really fun, and I've been able to really hone in and kind of find, an audience that's curated for me, as well as content that's curated for me. So in essence, on these platforms, I'm growing new audiences and new communities with much less stress and much less pressure. So there's that. Again, find the links to those if you want to connect with me on those platforms. The links will be in the show notes of this episode. Now, as far as the process for this podcast, I'm changing it up for a few reasons I'll get into. But the process is that I have the selfie-facing camera, and I'm just recording the video on that in one take. And what I'm going to do then is edit that video, chop it up, and then rip the audio from there so that I can tweak it, so I can refine it, make it all nice and pretty for the podcast version. Now, why am I doing this? A couple of reasons. The first is that was finding the whole microphone and audio setup and everything. Really, it was becoming constraining. I was very limited to where I could record, first of all, so it was just that one scene, and when I can record, because I don't live alone anymore. So that got really difficult. With just recording on my iPhone, I have the freedom and ability to really record anywhere. Yes, I'm still in my house, but as the weather gets warmer, I can go, outside and record. I can even go into town and record. Just take my quote unquote studio wherever I go and record in any kind of situation. Now, the other reason why I wanted to try out this process is because in doing the Ronnie's Health Corner videos, if you haven't seen those yet, check them out on our channel, on our YouTube channel, I noticed that those videos were getting more views. So I was thinking, well, what are the difference between those videos and the Redefined podcast videos? Here's what I think is happening. And this is something that I've heard from other outlets before. I'm not sure if it's verified or whether it's true, but it seems to be the case with this instance. Edited videos that have cuts, tend to get more views. So as an experiment, that's why I wanted to try out this process. Shooting the entire episode first in one take on video, then cutting up that video, and then taking the audio from the finished cut and using it for the podcast. We'll see how it goes. I mean, this is just an experiment, but it definitely, from a production flow standpoint, is going to make, I think, my life much easier in producing these episodes. And that's that. For a long time, I was all about scaling down and simplifying the process, and I kind of am starting to move back that way. I mean, I really like the audio quality that I get when using all my professional recording gear, but at the same time, I have to ask myself, is the return on that audio quality and production quality worth the effort? I mean, only time will tell. We'll see. For now, the main message is just keep going. If you're in the content space and you're still working to put yourself out there, the one thing I encourage you to do is just keep going. Try new things, adjust your process if you need to, keep what works and ditch everything else. The main thing is just keep going. Creating an audience and building a presence online isn't something that's going to happen in 6 months, even 12 months. You got to be willing to stick this out for years. And so an important aspect of being able to continue to do that is adjusting your process so that you can keep it sustainable in the long term. So that's the message for today. Hope that helps. Of course, we'll catch you with a fresh new one next week. So until then, be well, be safe. We'll see you in the next episode.